Hey everyone, welcome back to Unveiling Stories. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get into today's story. This is a tale of love, heartbreak, and lessons learned in the land of smiles. Our protagonist, Mark, thought he'd found true love in a Bangkok go-go bar. 10 years and one messy divorce later, he's here to share his story. If you've ever been curious about dating in Thailand, you're going to want to hear this. Mark lands in Bangkok, and it's like sensory overload. The city is buzzing, neon lights are everywhere, and the smell of street food hits him like a wave. He's curious about the nightlife, so he heads to a go-go bar in Nana Plaza. That's where he meets Lena. Now Mark's no dummy. He's heard all the stories about bar girls. But Lena seems different. She's sweet, shy even. Mark can't help but feel drawn to her. Before he knows it, he's falling hard. He starts thinking, maybe all those warnings were wrong. But here's the thing. Mark's about to get swept up in a whirlwind romance that'll turn his life upside down. There might be some red flags he's not seeing, but we'll get to that. If you want to hear how this crazy story unfolds, hit that subscribe button and give us a like. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Mark's head over heels for Lena, and he's about to make some pretty wild decisions. You know how they say love makes you do crazy things? Well, buckle up because Mark's about to take that saying to a whole new level. So there's Mark, supposed to be exploring Thailand, but all he can think about is Lena. He's in Phuket, surrounded by beautiful beaches and stunning landscapes, but it might as well be a cardboard cutout. His mind's back in Bangkok, replaying every moment with Lena. Finally, he can't take it anymore. He scraps his travel plans and hops on the next flight back to Bangkok. Talk about impulsive, right? Now, most of us would probably take a step back and think, whoa, am I moving too fast? But not our man Mark. Nope, he's all in. As soon as he's back in Bangkok, he whisks Lena off to Koh Samui for a romantic getaway. Picture it, white sandy beaches, crystal clear water, and two people caught up in a whirlwind romance. It's during this trip that Lena drops the bombshell. She tells Mark she wants to be with him exclusively. Now, for those of you who don't know, it's pretty common for bar girls to have multiple customers they string along. So when Lena says she only wants Mark, he's over the moon. He's thinking, this is it, she's the one. But here's where things start to get a bit... well, let's just say Mark's about to make a decision that will change everything. He offers Lena $5,000 to stop working in the bar. That's right, $5,000. Now I know what you're thinking. Mark, buddy, what are you doing? But in Mark's mind, he's being a knight in shining armour, rescuing his princess from a life she doesn't want. The thing is, relationships with bar girls are complicated. There's often a lot more going on than meets the eye. But Mark? He's seeing the world through rose-coloured glasses. He thinks he's solved all their problems with this grand gesture. Little does he know, he's just opened up a whole new can of worms. So what does Mark do next? Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because this is where things really kick into high gear. They're back in Bangkok, riding high on love, and probably a few too many Singer beers, when Mark decides to pop the question. Yep, you heard that right. He proposes. Now, most people would take some time to think about it, maybe introduce their new partner to their family, or at least sleep on it. But not these two. Before you can say "Sawas D," they're at a district office in Bangkok, buying gold rings and saying "I do." Mark's family, they're shocked. Can't say I blame them. One minute, Mark's off on a solo adventure in Thailand. The next, he's married to a woman they've never even met. Talk about a plot twist, right? In all this whirlwind of romance and spontaneity, Mark and Lena haven't really taken the time to get to know each other. They're from completely different worlds, different cultures, different backgrounds, different expectations. And let me tell you, that's a recipe for some serious fireworks down the line. So there they are, newly married, still in that honeymoon phase where everything seems perfect. Mark's probably thinking he's living in a real-life fairy tale. But guys, we all know fairy tales aren't real. And this one, it's about to turn into a bit of a nightmare. Lena moves to the UK with Mark, and at first things seem pretty good. She's settling in, even lands herself a job. Mark's probably feeling pretty smug at this point, thinking he's nailed this whole international romance thing. But here's the thing about marrying someone you barely know from a totally different culture. There's bound to be some, let's say, adjustments. And for Mark and Lena, those adjustments start to look more like a wrecking ball to their relationship. It starts small. Mark mentions an ex-girlfriend, and Lena gets a bit upset. No big deal, right? Except it doesn't stop there. Every time Mark's past comes up, Lena's reaction gets more intense. We're talking full-on jealous rages here. One time, Mark's trying to have an honest conversation about his dating history, and boom, Lena slaps him across the face. I mean, come on, that's not okay, no matter where you're from, but it's not just about the past. Lena starts getting angry over the smallest things. Mark looks at another woman for a second too long. Cue the drama. He talks to a female co-worker. World War III in their living room. Now, I'm not saying Lena's the only one at fault here. Cultural differences are a two-way street, and Mark's probably making his fair share of mistakes too. But when your partner's throwing hands every time you try to have a serious conversation, that's a red flag the size of Thailand itself. Let's fast forward a bit. It's around 10 years since Mark tied the knot with Lena in Bangkok, and things are about to take a turn that'll make your head spin. Lena's planning a trip back to Thailand. Nothing unusual there, right? Lots of people visit their home country. But then Lena drops a bombshell that leaves Mark scratching his head. She tells him, "While I'm gone, you can sleep with other girls if you want." Now, if your spouse suddenly gave you a free pass to cheat, wouldn't you be a bit suspicious? Mark sure was. This was coming from the same woman who'd flip out if he so much as glanced at another female. It didn't add up. But Mark, being Mark, tries to brush it off. He probably thought, maybe she's just trying to show she trusts me. If only he knew what was coming. So Lena jets off to Thailand, and Mark's left alone with his thoughts. And let me tell you, those thoughts start to go to some dark places. He can't shake this feeling that something's not right. It's like that nagging feeling you get when you know you've forgotten something important, but you can't quite put your finger on what it is. Mark starts thinking back over the past few months. Little things that didn't seem important at the time suddenly start to look suspicious. Lena spending more time on her phone, being secretive about her messages, working late more often. You know, the classic signs that something's up. But Mark's not the type to snoop, at least not at first. He wants to trust Lena. After all, they've been through a lot together. 10 years of marriage, moving countries, dealing with cultural differences. That's got to count for something, right? Wrong. Because one day, while Lena's still in Thailand, Mark's curiosity gets the better of him. He decides to check Lena's messages on their shared computer, and boy does he find something. There are messages between Lena and her co-worker, James. Now, Mark knew James. He'd even met the guy a few times at work parties. Seemed like a decent bloke. But these messages, they were anything but decent. Mark's scrolling through and his heart's sinking with every word he reads. There's flirty banter, inside jokes, plans to meet up. But the kicker, James's message saying, "I cannot wait for the 7 weeks to go quickly so I can see you again." 7 weeks, the exact length of Lena's trip to Thailand. Mark's world comes crashing down around him. All those years of dealing with Lena's jealousy, her angry outbursts whenever he so much as mentioned an ex. And here she was, carrying on with a co-worker behind his back. The hypocrisy of it all hits Mark like a ton of bricks. He remembers all those times Lena threatened divorce if he ever looked at another woman. And now, here she was, not just looking, but full on having an affair. Mark's emotions are all over the place. He's angry, hurt, betrayed, but mostly he just feels like an idiot. All those red flags he ignored over the years, all those times he made excuses for Lena's behaviour, it all makes sense now. So what does Mark do? He does what any self-respecting person would do in this situation. He decides to file for divorce. No more second chances, no more benefit of the doubt. He's done. But Mark's not just going to slink away quietly. Oh no, he's been pushed around by Lena for too long. He prints out all the messages, every last damning word of them, and he waits. Lena's due back any day now, and Mark's sitting on a ticking time bomb of evidence. He's rehearsing what he's going to say, how he's going to confront her. Will she try to deny it? Will she break down and confess? Or will she fly into one of her rages? One thing's for sure, this confrontation is going to be explosive. 10 years of marriage, all the ups and downs, the cultural clashes, the jealousy, the mistrust. It's all been building to this moment. So Lena walks through the door, probably expecting everything to be normal. But Mark, he's a mess of emotions. Angry, hurt, betrayed. You name it. He's been sitting on this bombshell for days, and now it's finally time to let it all out. Mark doesn't waste any time. As soon as Lena's through the door, he confronts her. He's got all those messages printed out, and he just lays them on the table. Bam! Evidence right there in black and white. Now, you'd think Lena would come clean, right? Nope. She tries to play it cool at first, like she has no idea what Mark's talking about. But Mark's not buying it. He starts reading out some of the messages, and let me tell you, they're pretty damning. Lena's face. It goes from confused to shocked to angry in about 2 seconds flat. She starts yelling, trying to turn it all around on Mark. "Why were you snooping through my messages?" she screams. Classic deflection, right? But Mark's not backing down. He's had enough of Lena's games. He tells her straight up, "It's not about the money. I just don't trust you anymore." Ouch. That's got to hurt. Lena tries a different tactic. She starts with the waterworks, crying about how she's only in the UK because of Mark. She even has the nerve to say they shouldn't get divorced. After everything she's done, she's still trying to manipulate him. But Mark's done. He's not falling for it anymore. He looks her right in the eye and says, "You won't be single next year. You'll be single this year." Talk about laying down the law. The whole thing is like a volcano erupting. Years of pent-up frustration, mistrust and resentment all coming out at once. It's not pretty, but it's real. After the shouting dies down, there's this heavy silence. You know, the kind where you can hear a pin drop. Mark and Lena are just staring at each other, probably wondering how they ended up here. For Mark, it's like waking up from a 10-year dream, or maybe a nightmare. All those red flags he ignored, all those times he made excuses for Lena's behaviour, it's all hitting him at once. He's realising that their whole marriage was built on shaky ground from the start. Lena. She's probably in shock. Her carefully constructed world is crumbling around her. No more playing the jealous wife while secretly cheating. No more manipulating Mark with her tears and tantrums. The game is over. In the days that follow, it's like walking through a minefield in their house. Every conversation has the potential to explode into another argument. Mark's trying to sort out the divorce proceedings while Lena's still trying to salvage what's left of their marriage. But there's no going back. The trust is gone, shattered like a dropped mirror. Every time Mark looks at Lena, all he can see are those messages, the lies, the betrayal. And Lena, she's realising that her actions have consequences, and this time she can't talk her way out of it. It's a mess, guys. A real mess. But in a way, it's also a relief for Mark. No more walking on eggshells. No more dealing with Lena's jealous rages. He's free, even if freedom comes with its own kind of pain. As for Lena, who knows what's going through her head? Maybe she's regretting her choices, or maybe she's already planning her next move. One thing's for sure. She's not the innocent bar girl Mark thought he rescued all those years ago. The divorce process kicks off, and let me tell you, it wasn't pretty. Lawyers got involved, papers were filed, and all those promises of love and forever went right out the window. It was a rough time for Mark, no doubt about it. He was dealing with the end of his marriage, the betrayal, and probably questioning every decision he'd made in the last decade. January 2019 rolls around, and boom, the divorce is final. Exactly 10 years after they got married in that whirlwind romance in Bangkok. Talk about coming full circle. Now, you might think Mark would be bitter after all this. Maybe swear off relationships altogether, especially with Thai women. But that's not our Mark. Nope, he's taking this as a learning experience. He's looking back at his relationship with Lena and seeing all those red flags he missed, the jealousy, the cultural clashes, the rush into marriage. It's all clear as day now. He's the first to admit he was naive. He fell for the fantasy of rescuing a bar girl, thinking love would conquer all. But now he knows better. He's learned that relationships, especially cross-cultural ones, take work. They need trust, understanding, and a whole lot of patience. Despite everything, Mark's not writing off Thailand or Thai women completely. He's just got a new perspective now. He's learned to separate the fantasy from reality. Mark says, bar girls are okay for fun on holidays, but you have to wake up to the fact that they are there to make money. It's like he's finally seen through the illusion. He understands now that what happens in the bar usually stays in the bar. But he's not painting all Thai women with the same brush. Mark's learned to distinguish between different types of relationships. He says, there are many nice, educated girls in Thailand who I believe can be loyal, but you're less likely to find them in the bars. It's like Mark's got a whole new outlook on life and love. He's not bitter, just wiser. He's learned that you can't change someone's past or their motivations. All you can do is be honest with yourself and others. After everything he's been through, you'd think he'd never want to set foot in Thailand again. But nope, that's not Mark. He's actually looking forward to going back. Mark says, right now, it will be great to just get back to Thailand and enjoy it all again. The guy's been through hell with his Thai ex-wife, but he's still got love for the country. That's some serious positivity right there. It's like Mark's taking this whole experience and using it to grow. He's not letting one bad relationship define his entire outlook on life or love. He's learned his lessons, sure, but he's not letting them hold him back. Mark's story is a reminder that sometimes the hardest experiences can teach us the most valuable lessons. He went into his relationship with Lena with rose-coloured glasses, but he came out of it with clear vision. He's learned about cultural differences, about the complexities of human relationships, and most importantly, about himself. Mark now knows what he wants in a relationship, what red flags to look out for, and how to approach cross-cultural dating with a more realistic mindset. But perhaps the biggest lesson Mark's learned is that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fall for the wrong person, to get your heart broken, to feel like a fool. What matters is how you pick yourself up afterward. And Mark, he's picked himself up with grace. He's not dwelling on the past or playing the victim. He's taking responsibility for his part in the failed marriage and using those lessons to build a better future for himself. Don't let Mark's story scare you off completely. Not every Thai woman is like Lena. There are plenty of great people out there. You just have to be smart about where and how you meet them. Remember, love's complicated no matter where you're from. It takes time, trust, and a whole lot of understanding. Mark's story shows us that sometimes the heart wants what it wants, even when the head's saying, hold up. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. And as always, leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time.